friends, I haven't done an Aldi challenge video for a very long time, so today I'm going to do the $5 food challenge at Aldi. I'll spend $5 for 3 days worth of food. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for $5. I do think this is going to end up being one of my more difficult challenges, so I'm going to allow myself to spend anything over $5 but under $6. So if it's $5 and some change, that's fine. I am worried that I'm not going to be able to get enough food to eat for 3 days at this store. I know they don't sell small bags of beans or rice, so that's going to make it a lot more difficult. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that Aldi has a new grocery website where you're able to look up the pricing online. Just go to the Aldi homepage, then click on online shopping, and then new Aldi grocery website. Then shop now and just enter the product you're looking for. I was excited when I found this because usually I just go online and look at their online ads to see what their best deals are, but this time I was able to look up some pricing on items I thought I might want to include in my menu this week. And when I looked at eggs, I was so disappointed though because they were showing at $1.99 for 12, and I know I can get them so much cheaper at Walmart, and it just made me really concerned about what I was going to be eating for 3 days. However, when I got there, the prices were actually less than what they were online, so that was a huge relief. And I did double check when I got back home again and made sure that my zip code was put in there correctly. And it was right, so I do think that they just have some kinks to work out on this, but still it's a great tool nonetheless. The first thing that I saw that might work in my menu is bread. They had a loaf of white for $1.29, and that could really get me far in this budget challenge. I would have preferred the whole wheat, but it was $1.85, and for this kind of a challenge, I really can't afford the extra money. There's not a lot of nutrition in bread, obviously, but it is going to help me feel satiated, so I know I'm not going to get hungry. And there are so many different things that I can do with bread. I can have a lot of fun with this, and maybe even do some new recipes that I haven't done on my channel. The hot dog and hamburger buns were $1.39. I think I would have liked the hamburger buns, but they were 10 cents more than the bread. And they had this end cap where they always have the very best deals, and I was trying to avoid filming anybody. It was super crowded when I went, even though it was in the morning. But they had these carrots for 69 cents, which I thought was a pretty good deal for the amount of nutrition that I could get for these. I like to eat these raw, but I could also make a carrot salad or use these in soups. I was hoping for either an apple or a banana, and their bananas were 49 cents a pound, which beats 58 cents a pound at Walmart. So I decided to weigh this one, and it came in at only 12 cents. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and get this, and I might grab a second one also. I was hoping that they would have a great deal on some kind of greens, but really the only thing that I saw was the spinach at $1.57. This would take so much out of the budget that I just don't think it's feasible. If you remember, I told you I was looking online and they showed their eggs at $1.99, but when I got to the store, they were only $1.79, which is still 45 cents more than a dozen eggs at Walmart, but I'm still gonna get these because it's a lot of protein for a small amount of money, and there's really nothing else I can get at that price that's going to offer me the same kind of nutrition. I can use this for breakfast, and maybe if I get creative, I can do something like an egg drop soup, or maybe I can use it to bake with. I'll try to find new recipes that I've never used on my channel just to do something different and mix it up a bit. And then I noticed that they had this awesome deal on avocados for 49 cents each, and I picked up a few for my house for later in the week, but I was trying to figure out how I could maybe fit one into the budget, and I was thinking I could probably either get the carrots or the avocado, but not both. And the Roma tomatoes were an excellent deal at 88 cents a pound, and I can't imagine doing a budget challenge without a Roma tomato. So many things I can do with this. I noticed that they also had a 10-pound bag of potatoes for $2.50. I'm gonna pick this up for my house, but if I ended up purchasing that for the challenge, I really wouldn't have much other than just eggs and potatoes. Granted, I could do a lot with that, and maybe if I had a lot of kids that I was trying to feed, that would be the choice that I would make. But it's just me for 3 days, and I'm gonna want some more variety than that. I was just talking to my viewer couple days ago about that chayote squash soup that I made. It was so good, but 97 cents is just too much out of the budget. And I haven't decided on the carrots or the avocado yet, and so far I'm at $3.40. They had those little pasta bags for 29 cents each, which is an excellent deal. I had a choice of alphabets, fideo, shells, or elbow. And my favorites of those are elbow and fideo, but I was thinking mentally I might feel like I have more food if I go with the elbow, so I think that's what I'll do. I did want to mention to you that they had an excellent deal on spices for 89 cents in the bagged spice section. Sometimes I'll get the bagged spices to fill up my round containers when I'm out of a particular item. I was thinking nutrition-wise that beans would be a good purchase, but they didn't have any bags of beans that were affordable, so I thought maybe some canned beans, and I noticed that they had discounted black beans to 77 cents, so I grabbed one of these. And I was kind of thinking, looking at my ingredients, that maybe I could do some kind of a chili mac, or maybe I could do some black bean burgers. I've never made those on my channel. I've always wanted to make those. I have made chickpea burgers, but never black bean. And I was thinking about getting some tomato sauce. I could use that in the chili mac. I could also use this to help season my soups. And maybe also I could make some kind of a marinara for the pasta. Or maybe I could make some kind of a meatball with the black beans and the eggs and the bread. And then I was hoping to find something on this aisle that they have for red hot deals, but nothing really too exciting. The only thing that interested me was this advent calendar for my dog for $7.99, but ultimately I thought it was a really bad idea, and also I really can't afford this right now. I would have splurged if I would have found a cheese advent calendar because my family and I enjoyed that so much last year, but I just can't find those anywhere. So I don't know if I'm too late or what, but if you guys know of one, let me know. It was raining so hard when I came out of Aldi's that I got drenched going to my car. Anyway, here is my budget haul. There's a recipe I've been wanting to try that uses bread, bananas, and eggs, so I thought this would be a good time to try it. My bananas weren't very ripe, so I decided to add a little brown sugar and cinnamon just to sweeten them up a bit because I plan to use this as a filling. If I would have had some vanilla, I would have added that also. I gave this a taste test after I blended this together, and it was delicious. I ended up liking these so much better than expected. It's like you get a delicious treat with each bite when you taste that banana filling. This would be a good recipe to try when you don't quite have enough eggs for all the people, but you do have a lot of bread. And it doesn't take very much banana, and bananas are so inexpensive that, yeah, I think this is a great recipe to have on hand. I really like this. You could also use stewed apples that you could either put on the top or you could add the stewed apples into the filling. I guess this is kind of like bread burritos. I had to use one extra piece of bread to get enough food, but if you had a different kind of bread, like maybe a Japanese bread, you could probably get by with just 2 pieces. For my second meal, I just had fried eggs on toast. And then for the third meal, there's another recipe that I've been wanting to try, and it involves using bread as a crust for these little mini egg quiches, and I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I've been wanting to try it, and I thought now is probably a good time. First, you bake the crust in a toaster oven until they're crispy enough so that the egg isn't going to absorb into them. And then I'm also going to add a moisture barrier by squirting some oil into these for my mixture. And I should have put some oil into the pan as well, but I kind of forgot about that. And then I added in some diced tomatoes into some egg because that was really all I have that could go in here. I guess I could have done carrots, but that doesn't sound good. And then I just cooked those until they were finished. Had I been thinking ahead on this, I probably could have roasted my tomatoes for a sweeter flavor, and that would have been good. But this is how they turned out. I thought they ended up looking really cute. I think this might be a nice application if you had different cheeses, like maybe goat cheese or feta would be good. I knew I would need some kind of hot sauce on these, but I enjoyed these. They weren't delicious because I don't think I had the right kind of fillings for them, but it was fun, and this actually turned out really well. I would definitely use this application if I had some different ingredients. For my lunches, I'll be making black bean patties. I plan to use about 3/4 of this can of black beans. I'll use the trimmings from my bread to make breadcrumbs, which will bulk up my patties, and then I'm going to use egg as a binder if I need some more filler. I was contemplating shredding up some carrots and adding those into the mix as well, but I do think I'm just going to wait and see if I need those or not. And then for spices, I'll be using some Spanish paprika for some smokiness. I'll also add in some onion powder along with garlic salt or garlic powder. And I'll be thinking about what else I might want to add, maybe some cumin or some chipotle powder. The first thing I'm going to do is toast my breadcrumbs. One of the chefs I follow is Kenji Lopez, and according to him, the key to a great black bean patty is to make sure and dry out your beans properly. I've set a small portion of beans aside for my other recipes, and then the remainder I'm going to bake alongside my breadcrumbs. This will help to eliminate any moisture in the beans. Apparently, if you skip this step, it results in a mushy burger, and that is not at all the texture we want in our burgers. I cooked these in my toaster oven for about 15 minutes, and the breadcrumbs were done, but the beans still had some moisture in them, so I ended up putting the beans back in for another 5 minutes. And I have to say, there's something very satisfying about crunching breadcrumbs in your hands. A potato masher works great for these, but there's something very therapeutic about this. Okay, these are a little ugly, but I do think they're perfect for what we need them for. I'm going to go ahead and add these to my food processor and just lightly blend them up. I still want to have some larger chunks in there, and we do, so I think this is going to be perfect. I'm just worried that I might not have enough. I need to make 3 patties with these. So I'll mix the dry together and then add my spice mixture. I just used the spices that I showed you earlier. There's so many different ways that you could go with these black bean patties that I'm just kind of thinking, what do I want to do with this? I went ahead and added some cumin, and I also added just a little bit of balsamic. If you have, I can't even say that word, Worcestershire, whatever. If you have that, you can add that as well. And I just want to make sure that my patties are about the size of my bread. I was kind of thinking about cutting the bread out into circles and making them look more like hamburger buns, but I'm also okay with just eating this on a piece of bread. I think one of the problems with adding shredded carrots would have been the moisture content. So if I wanted to try doing that, I might have had to try to dry those out before adding those in. Another good thing to add in would be some chopped nuts or maybe some corn, green chilies, cheddar cheese, like maybe little squares of cheddar cheese so that when you fry it, they melt throughout the burger. That would be delicious. Maybe you could add some chipotle. My mind kind of automatically goes to a Southwest kind of Tex-Mex theme when I think of black beans, but really you could go any direction and you could add anything to this health-wise to make these more complete. Like maybe adding in some ground flaxseed or nutritional yeast. I feel like there's just so many ways you could make these better. And I found this in the fridge. I had a few crumbles left over. I was imagining how delicious these would be. I found this chipotle powder in my spices, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little on top of one of these patties and see how I like that. I also found these white sesame seeds, and I could use these on my toast to kind of try to mimic a regular hamburger bun. Okay, and I do want to say, obviously, these are much thinner than I would make these normally. I would probably make these about twice as thick if I had plenty of black beans. So just know that if you decide to recreate this recipe at home. I'm curious as to how these hold up to freezing. So I'm going to cook one today and then I'm going to put the rest in the freezer. I need something to go along with my black bean burger. So I was thinking about making a carrot salad. Because I have the mini carrots, I don't think that using the regular grater will work as well. So I was thinking about using a different attachment. I was recently out to lunch and they put these delicate little carrot ribbons on my salad and I thought it was such a great idea. Some of you may know the restaurant I was at based solely on the bread you see in this picture. Let me know if you know in the comments. It's sad that I have to be inspired to use a new attachment to my grater, but we are all creatures of habit. I actually kind of like the way these look. These are delicate, and I think they'll be just perfect for our salad. Today, I thought I would make a French carrot salad, but there's actually a couple of different ways you can go with this. Salad dressings always consist of something sweet, something sour, and then the seasonings. If you remember that combination, you can always make your own dressing with whatever you have in your pantry. Why am I mentioning this? Well, because the French salad that I want to make calls for lemon juice, but you might not have lemon juice in your pantry. I don't always have that as a pantry staple, so if you don't have lemon juice, just add in whatever vinegar you have on hand. A white vinegar would probably be preferable as a lemon juice swap out. I'm also going to be adding in some oil, and normally the French carrot salad calls for honey, but it looks like I'm out, so I'm going to go ahead and add in some sugar, and I probably should have used about half as much as I added, but if you mess up when you're making your dressing, you can always add in more of the sour option to balance it out. And I'm adding in some parsley flakes, which is going to make our salad look beautiful, and I added just a touch of salt and pepper. You can always add a little bit more dressing right before you serve it if you want. I've also seen some recipes that call for a little Dijon mustard, which is an emulsifier. So if you have that, you could always add that in also. This is best if you let this marinate for a little while in the fridge before eating. I've also seen some recipes where they add in raisins. And there's also a Moroccan carrot salad, which is very similar, except they don't add in the sweet element, so no honey or sugar. And then I've seen cumin as an ingredient in that as well. So this is definitely a recipe that would be fun to play around with. I was kind of playing around with the idea of cutting my bread into circles to match my patties, but this is just about perfect, so I think I'll just leave it as is. I lightly toasted the bread and added sesame seeds to the top piece of toast. I didn't think you'd be able to see them, but I did think they would add a nice flavor. You could add any kind of sauce here, like ketchup or mayo, but I thought I would try it with just some thin sliced tomatoes. They'll add moisture to the sandwich, and plus I just love tomatoes. This was so good. It was definitely giving me Big Mac vibes. I think it's because of the thin patties, but I really loved these black bean burgers. I think they were a huge hit. I'm kind of sorry I haven't already been making these because I do buy those frozen black bean patties quite often and my son loves them too. I enjoyed the carrot salad. It was refreshing. It just had a nice, light, sweet and sour flavor. I looked in my fridge to see if I had some other ingredients to go along with the theme that I was developing in my head, and I was in luck. I did find some. This completely felt like a good vegan or vegetarian option for a Big Mac. It was delicious. But if you don't have those items in your fridge, it's perfectly fine with just the sliced tomatoes. In fact, I like this so much that I made it for my lunch the second day. And the third day, I made one without the sliced tomatoes, and I just had it on plain bread with some fresh carrots, and that was delicious too. And these worked perfect to freeze them and then just throw them in the pan and reheat them. I would also like to try these in my George Foreman grill. For my first dinner, I thought I'd make a poor man's version of a chili mac with these ingredients. I'll also be using some spices from my spice cabinet. I was trying to figure out what to do with these carrots, and then I thought about making some carrot cake muffins, but I thought I could add a little less sugar so it's more like a dinner item than a dessert. It really didn't take very many carrots at all to get the half cup that I needed. Look at how long I beat this egg with the egg not breaking. Pretty sure my chopsticks are more effective at whisking eggs. To make it whatever she put her mind to. Late night hours up the hill, serving coffee. I found these little Thanksgiving baking cups that I thought were so cute. I think I picked these up last year. But anyway, I thought now would be a good time to use these because it'll also mean that I have less cleanup for my pans, which is always nice. I ended up getting 3 muffins out of this, so that's actually perfect because I'll have 1 muffin per day. While that's cooking, I'll make my chili mac, and this bag says it has 4 half-cup servings. Since I need 3 servings, I'll make each serving be 3/4 cup. People knew her by her will to make it whatever she put her mind to. Late night hours up the hill, serving coffee to strangers, talking about revenue. She kept dreaming of a world big enough for everyone, and she knew it must rain before it grows. This carrot muffin is delicious. I'm super happy with this. Those were a huge success. Now, as far as the chili mac goes, it's very underwhelming. It has a great flavor, but it just really didn't do it for me. I had forgotten that there's 2 of these similar elbow products, and the one on the top I use all the time. I have that stocked in my pantry. I use it for soups, and I love the texture of it, but the one on the bottom becomes a little floppy when it's cooked, so I really should have tried a different technique, like frying the pasta first, which is what I did for my second and third meals. I've done that with a fideo, but I've never done it with elbow macaroni, and this time I was using it to make a soup, and I just added in my tomato sauce along with some carrots and black beans, and I also added in spices, some of the similar spices that I generally use day in and day out. The only difference I think on this one was I did add a little bit of celery salt, and I do love that flavor so much, so I do want to start remembering to add that to my soups more often. And I also added in a little oil from the pan that I had fried my pasta in. I do like that in my soups. And then I garnished it with some black beans because I didn't really have much else to garnish with. I guess I could have used some more dried parsley. That would have been pretty, actually. I usually do like my soup a little more brothy, but I was determined to try to fit everything in this bowl, and it ended up being just about right with all of the pasta. This was really, really good. I thought this was a great budget meal, and especially along with that carrot muffin, it was actually filling enough that I could have eaten the carrot muffin later, maybe for dessert or something, but I didn't. I ate it all in one sitting. Earlier, when I made my chili mac, I boiled enough pasta for 2 servings. I thought I would just take a shortcut, so I had the pasta ready for my next night's meal. But like I said earlier, it ended up being mushy and I just didn't like the texture. So I thought maybe I'll try to fix it by doing some fried pasta in garlic. I remember one of the comments from one of my viewers once that said she really likes her pasta that way. So I was thinking we'd get a nice crust on a part of this and maybe we could salvage it. And this will be my 3rd night's meal. I'm being very generous with garlic, salt, and pepper, and I think I'll even add in some red pepper flakes. But I think I'm getting more on my stove than I am in the pan. I'm gonna need to add a little bit more oil to my pan just to make sure I can get this extra crispy. And I've got plenty of carrots left over, so I could serve this with maybe some roasted carrots on the side. I could also serve this with a fried egg on top. I have plenty of eggs left over. But as it is, I'm gonna be making this and then putting it in the fridge for my dinner because I'm actually editing my video right now. But I did want to try this on camera just to let you know what I thought of it. And oh my gosh, this has to be the sleeper recipe of the century. This was like hitting at maybe a 9, 9.5, maybe even a 10, just like this. It had that delicious, crispy, garlicky chili pepper flavor. And I was thinking of one thing though that I could do to make this even better. And I grabbed the chili crisp and added just a little bit of that. It has a few other ingredients in there, so I'm just adding a little bit and then I'm gonna taste it. And oh my gosh, this was so good. I think you guys should all go make this pasta recipe as soon as you are done with my video. And I feel like this is a really good starting point for so many different meals. For me, I'm thinking vegetables. What vegetables do I want to throw in here? But if you're eating meat, you could add in some Spam, you could add in some ground beef, and maybe one other vegetable. This would be a great one-pot dish. It's just so flavorful. So I'm definitely going to put this in the fridge and have this for my dinner tonight. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you found at least one recipe in here that you'd like to try in your own kitchen. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and hit the like button. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you Sunday.
Morning has broken, my windows are open. Wanna feel the wind blow through my hair. Which way do I follow? What happens tomorrow? I turn to you and hope you can guide the way. Sometimes